Hello and welcome back to Patriot Contraptions. As you can see, I have a John boat now, which means we are going to be replacing the transom on it and getting rid of this deplorable wood transom that came with the boat. Let's get started. One of the downsides of always operating on a budget is that you often come up with things that just need replaced, like the transom on your John boat that you just got at a deal price. And those add up pretty quick with boats. But that being said, it must be done so that the motor doesn't actually bend forward and damage the aluminum hull of the boat. So that's what I'm doing today. And as you can see here, the start of any transom replacement is, well, getting rid of the old transom. So I unscrewed, they actually use deck screws on this transom for some reason. No idea why. That just doesn't make sense. Deck screws just aren't meant to be on a transom like this. So anyway, unscrewed the old deck screws, got rid of that piece of board, found under it that there was actually a motor mount plate on the original transom, which I thought was cool. I ended up reusing that. So I took that off and I went ahead and unbolted the original transom, which had stainless steel bolts and washers and everything holding it on. Unfortunately, these were too rusty to reuse, so instead of reusing them, I went ahead and actually got some brand new stainless steel ones to use later on in the video. Now, moving along, in order to replace this transom, I had to pick something to replace it with. A lot of guys suggested using possibly treated wood. I didn't really see a reason for this, and there are a number of guys that don't use it, and the reason being that once you coat it, there's really not a need for it being treated. So what I instead went with is I went with this plywood you see here. This is regular 1/2-inch plywood, and I've actually laminated it together using some waterproof wood glue. Now, the reason for waterproof wood glue is that this will be in the water, and while it is laminated, I just felt like because I had waterproof wood glue, I should use waterproof wood glue on it. So that's what I did. And it turned out fine. You probably actually would be fine with just water resistant or just regular wood glue, overall. But I went ahead, I had it, used the waterproof stuff. I like waterproof glue. I've used it for a number of projects, and it's the way to go in my case. So that being said, cut out the actual transom here, and then I went and size fit it in the boat. And it's very important to size fit it before you fiberglass, because if you fiberglass it first, obviously if there's any changes, then you have a major problem. So you'll see later on that I did forget one thing. But that being said, I was happy with the shape of this, so I did a quick sand down on it to make sure it was all flat and smooth, and then started painting the fiberglass on. And whoa, I have never worked with fiberglass before. It's crazy. This stuff dries like spontaneously, basically. You'll be painting just fine, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, this stuff just dries on you. And when it's not drying, it's heating up and melting through the plastic cup that it's in. So it's a very interesting material to work with. I had, just shortly after this was filmed, that when I was mixing just even a small amount, maybe a 1/4 cup of fiberglass, it heated up so much that it melted through the bottom of this plastic cup you see here in the footage. And that just really surprised me. I'd never worked with a chemical 2-part coating like this that just heated up that fast. So that was new. Something to watch out for when you're choosing what to put this in. Ideally, I would probably use like an aluminum or a metal bean can in the future for doing this, just because I'm afraid the stuff will melt through it. But overall, once it was coated, the transom was very solid. And the plus to the fiberglass is you get this nice finish where you can see through it. I'm not going with any fiberglass sheeting, by the way. There's no sheeting on this. I didn't see any John boat guys actually use the sheeting on their transoms when they were redoing the repairs. I think part of that is because you're paying about $17 for the fiberglass anyway, and it's really solid, and then you don't want to go put another like $9 or $10 into the cloth, I guess. But overall, I'm happy with it. Now, the one problem you'll notice here is that there's this giant hole that I've chiseled into the middle. And that's because I forgot about the reinforcement plate for the transom, my transom brace. And that's the 45-degree metal bar that comes up and braces the transom so that your motor doesn't push it down into the back of the boat and damage the boat. So I got that transom brace, I sized it up with the original holes, and now you can see that I'm able to reuse those holes because the original transom was only 3/4 of an inch. My new transom, being double layered 1/2 inch, is 1 inch thick. So layered that up and bolted it together with the new stainless steel screws. Next up, I went ahead and riveted in using aluminum brazier rivets. I had never heard of these things, and they are super cool. I'm hoping to experiment with them more in the future because I don't actually have an air hammer right now, so I was doing it kind of the layman's way of putting these in. And basically what a solid aluminum brazier head rivet is you take it and you put it through the material you want to rivet. In this case, I'm using this piece of cardboard to demonstrate because it was just too hard to show you guys on the John boat. And then you brace it on the inside with some sort of weight. In my case, I'm using this sledgehammer. Ideally, you'd have a partner helping you. I didn't have that, so it was really hard to film, show you what I was doing, and actually hold both hammers at the same time. So once I had that brace on the inside, I was able to hit the underside with the hammer, and what that does is as that rivet comes in, the end of it expands against your sledgehammer and seals everything together. Super cool system, super simple. They used this all the way through World War II on like the aircraft and everything you see. That's this type of rivet. Most John boats are riveted together using these aluminum brazier rivets. Just super cool technology. And it's been around a while too. Just ideally, you'd probably use a rivet gun to put them in. Now I'm showing you what's on the back of the boat here. This is the back side of it. And as you'll notice, when I put in all those stainless steel bolts, I also went ahead and put washers on the inside and outside just to prevent extra wear. I also, in addition to that, put some marine grade JB Weld on both the rivets and on the backs of the washer just to ensure that there's no water getting into this John boat, because water in a boat is probably not a good idea. That being said, overall this project took about 12 hours to complete, a full weekend's work. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, but not the hardest either. As far as budget-wise, I ended up spending somewhere between $50 and $100. It's kind of hard for me to judge completely because I bought the equipment and I had some of the equipment already. So somewhere between $50 and $100. I would guess probably right around the $70 mark, but depending on where you get these rivets and the stainless steel bolts and everything, it adds up pretty quick. But it's worth it to have a solid transom on the boat, I feel. So there you have it. That's my transom replacement build. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, be sure to subscribe. I do tons of fun build projects. And see all of you fantastic people in the next episode. Have a great day. Patriot Contraptions signing out.